So you actually seem like you're slightly out of breath because you were probably nervous.
I was very nervous, yes, very nervous. It makes me, my heart just, yeah.
So basically you're just afraid to go in there with her.
Yeah, if she is not tied up, yes.
Hey guys, so I'm on my way to work with a yearling horse that's become pretty dominant and aggressive in the pasture. It kind of rears up and kicks at them, and it's even kicked her and broke a couple of her fingers a while ago. So they need some help to get this worked out. So I'm headed out there and we'll see if we can get the horse to have a little bit better understanding of boundaries. All right, so I'm here with Liz and Ida, and they're showing me their yearling horse here, who is a pretty big yearling. It's going to be a real big horse eventually, but she's giving them some trouble in the pasture. So can you describe to the viewers a little bit of what problems you were having and kind of why you guys gave me a message?
She gets pushy. She'll run at us. She will rear at us. She just makes us not feel safe when we're in the pasture with her.
And this is you're going in the feed or just fix something in the pasture or something?
Yep, I can't. If I'm going to rebed her stall or put new shavings in there, we have to tie her up because I can't trust her to even go in and do that with her loose.
And so the problems tend to happen more when she's loose, like at liberty, versus when you have a halter on her.
Yes.
Right?
Yep, when the halter's on her, she's great.
She's better.
Yep.
Okay. Very good. Well, yeah, let's... I'll have you kind of go in there and show me kind of what the issue is, just so I can see what you're doing, what she's doing, and there probably sounds like there's some changes that we need her to make, but there's probably also some changes we may need you guys to make as well. So you actually seem like you're slightly out of breath because you were probably nervous.
I was very nervous, yes, very nervous. It makes me, my heart just, yeah.
So basically you're just afraid to go in there with her.
Yeah, if she is not tied up, yes.
Yep. Okay. Well, we need to change this because she can't be in charge patrolling the fence and driving you guys out of this. Now, one of my concerns is that she doesn't know me, and as soon as I set a boundary with her, I'm guessing, I think she's going to respect it right away and not challenge me.
Right.
I think she knows she can push you around and be down over you. So I think you're going to have to come in there after I show you what to do, and you're going to have to do it.
Okay.
But you can't be nervous or scared while you're doing it. You have to present an element of being calm and assertive with her. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Do you feel like you're up for that?
I hope so, yes.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to try to give you a leg up here and at least teach her the yields that we're looking for. And but because this is mostly an issue at liberty, I think we should address it there. And she could go running off in the pasture. It looks like she's got a pretty big pasture to be in here.
Yes.
Hopefully she comes back relatively quickly. But this is what we got to work with, and so we're going to go ahead and get started.
Okay.
So I'm going to actually bring in both tools. Okay. Now, the two tools that I'm going to use, I have a flag. This is good for closer range. And if she's really in your space, like without having to even touch her with anything, you can work the flag and create enough energy that she can yield away from it. Okay. The stick and string is helpful that if she tries to kick or bite, I would like to bite her back, so to speak. Okay. And I would actually like to touch her with this. So this is not very effective to touch them with, but this, if I thunk her with this, it's more clear. It's more like what another horse would do if she were to charge another horse like that. Because if you put and that's, I think part of the reason this is becoming an issue for you guys is because she is in there by herself, and horses are a herd animal. So she's kind of associated you guys with the herd, and but she's the alpha over you guys. Okay. And a lot of people don't believe me when I talk about horses seeing humans as being part of the herd and being dominant over them. But I see this not like super often, but you see it commonly enough. And once they get really comfortable with people and they don't, so literally, even if you just put another horse that was dominant over her in the pasture, that would probably help. Gotcha. Hey guys, real quick, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, ABI Attachments. They hooked me up with the TR3 E series, and this drag is fantastic. My arena footing was kind of questionable because I didn't have all the money in the world to put in a really great base and then put the sand on top and all that stuff. So I had to make do with what I had, and this arena drag has made the difference. It's got a scarcifier blade up here in the front, and I've been using it for a whole season now, and it's fantastic. Then it goes into the leveling blade, which just keeps it from getting the humps and whoop-de-doos in the arena. Then there's the teeth and these bars, and the comb to dress it and make it look real nice at the end. You can also use this for dragging the pastures, kind of break up the manure. You can push brush with it. This drag does it all. I really want to thank ABI Attachments. They are a fantastic company, American made, high quality, really nice equipment. So if you guys are in the market for some horse barn equipment, ABI can hook you guys up. I'll leave a link in the description below. So she's definitely like seeking attention. Like she wants company in that interaction.
Yeah.
But we need her. I don't want to be cornered in this spot by the fence here, and so I'm going to ask her to drive away. I want to just see, just even from right here, what her response is. And so that's not a super normal response. So that's where the stick and string becomes a little more helpful. So I'm not even going to bring that in. But I'm going to tap whatever's sticking out, and it's her nose, and just ask her to respect that space. Yep, just ask her to step off that pressure. If you can close the gate behind me, that would be great. And I'm going to try to skirt around here without getting bit or kicked. There we go. So I wanted to get in more of this open area. And again, I'm just going to set a boundary and just communicate to her, hey, you can't chase me. So what I'm doing there, and there you heard her, what's interesting, she just had a big blowout. She's blowing out. So she's actually relaxing there. And so you can see she almost instantly left me alone when I said, you can't move my feet. And so it really can be that simple. Okay. But there's another level that we can take it to. So the first level is me, I just defended my space. I just wave the stick, whatever angle. Usually it's either like this or like this, and just saying, this is my space and you can't overtake that. The next level is I'm going to overtake her space. So I call this owning space. So I'm going to walk up to her here. You can back up just a little bit there, Aaron, so you can kind of see. And now I'm going to walk in here and I'm going to wave the stick. I want to give her room to exit here. And I'm just going to ask her to yield away from me there. And now you see how she kind of stopped? Now she's coming in again, so I'll wave the stick again. And that's really all the more you needed to do. From once you have this established, I would actually rather you be online with a halter and lead rope, doing all the rest of the exercises proactively. Okay. I'm going to do it a couple more times with her. But the confidence that you need to have is that you're going to walk on a line. You don't need to go fast. You're going to wave the stick, and you're just expecting her to step off that pressure. Now, if she doesn't yield out of the way, I could let the string out here and swing that towards her. Okay. But do you see how, and even though I touched her on the nose, like it didn't offend her because I didn't do it that hard. Right. But I just asked her to step off of it, and that was it. And she was pushing first. Yes. And so it very much matters who starts it. Okay. And so if she had just been standing here, I'd walk up and try to halter her or even try to draw her into me. But she is immediately ready to kind of overtake you and not yield out of the way at all. And so that's what we need to address. So I'm going to do it one more time, and if she does it cooperatively, then I'm going to have you come in here and do this exact same thing. Then we'll put a halter and lead rope on her, and we'll work at this a little more proactively. But honestly, for a couple of days, it would be really helpful for you to do this. And honestly, what I would probably do with her is I would sign her up for this a little more by putting hay down, and I would drive her off the hay. Okay, and that's more the like clear line of like, hey, I'm gonna own this is my hay pile. I'm gonna own this, because feeding time is a lot of times when it gets worse. Because a lot of times what happens is we come up to the fence, we throw hay in, and then we walk away. The horse walks up with their ears back, and we're leaving. And so in their mind, they're driving us away. So I'm just gonna add pressure here until she steps off of it. Also, the good news is because she's only 1.5 years old, it's likely to not be too big of a deal. It's like she hasn't been doing it that long, that sort of thing. But you see how she's kind of going around me now and not coming through my space? So I think it's your turn to come in with me. Okay. So I'm going to take the flag, but I want you to convince me that you will touch her with the stick if she gets close enough. Yes. Because a lot of people are really passive, and they don't want to really commit to touching the horse. But if the horse is committed enough to bite you, you have to be committed enough to touch her with it. Okay?
Okay.
So I'm going to back you up, but all I want you to do is see that spot between the manure and the fence where her front feet are?
Yes.
I want you to get to where you're standing there, and she's far enough away that you cannot reach her with the stick.
Okay.
So wave the stick up and down and walk towards her slowly. Very good. Now, was that too bad?
No, it was not bad at all.
Easier than you were expecting?
Yes.
Very good. And I think we were talking about this off camera, but you were saying that, because I was asking you, like, well, why haven't you tried, putting more pressure on? And you were afraid, you like the idea that she's friendly and trusts you guys,
yes.
But you didn't like that she was getting dominant and overtaking you. And it's in horses' nature to vote for their leader every day. And the way they vote is they test it. They walk up and they go, hey, are you the boss or am I? Can I get away with this or not? And they kind of poke at each other. So I'm going to go ahead and walk to this fence post,
okay.
Up and down with the stick, and drive her away. Very good. So she believes you now when you walk in there. Now, if she ever tried to hold her ground and turn and start kicking, you would just keep moving out of the way, but you would still continue the pressure and trying to touch her with the string or something until she yields off away from it. Okay?
Okay.
So let's go ahead and do that one more time. So just walk on a straight line to where her front feet are. Very good. Now, for us at my farm, we have some different people doing chores at different times. Mm-hmm. And when you walk into a pasture, especially one that has other horses in it, multiple horses in it, what can happen is you're trying to feed these ones over here, and then they all come up and swarm the hay cart. At our house, we have a hay cart that we're trucking around to feed everybody.
Keep her away.
As long as she's out of you can't reach her with the stick and string. That's the rule.
Okay, well,
you can't reach her, so she's good.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But if she comes any closer, because at this distance, she can rear, she can kick, she can do whatever, and
Gotcha.
it can't bother you whatsoever.
Okay.
But if she comes in closer than that, then it would be an issue.
Okay.
So back to my hay cart story.
Sorry.
We carry a stick and string with us in the hay cart every time, because when other horses start fighting with each other to get the hay first, that can be a dangerous scenario. But in your situation, for a while, anytime that you come in here, I would have the stick and string with you, so that you can protect your space. If you're fixing fence or you're feeding or you're doing whatever, cleaning out the shelter, I would keep it with you and keep her out of your space until you're like 100% sure she's not gonna try anything.
Okay.
Yep. Now, do you see how she switched now? Now she's being curious about it.
Yep.
So even though that stick bonked her on the nose from me, and I touched her with it a couple times, she's not afraid of it. She's not scared of it. So many people in the comments are going to have trouble with the idea that I touched her on the nose with it. And I want people to understand that she was being dominant with her nose. So I had to touch her on the nose. I didn't touch her hard on the nose, not nearly as hard as what another horse could do, biting or kicking. If she acted that way towards an older horse, 3, 4, 5-year-old horse, they are going to put her in their place, and they are going to pin their ears and run at her and really mean business. And so people just have to understand that that's how horses interact with each other, and it's not being mean or mad to them. There is a way to do it where you're being mean or aggressive towards them, but the way I was doing it, to just owning the space, she started it, and then I just protected my space. As soon as she stepped off it, there was no pressure. That's how it works and is effective without scaring them in the process.
Okay.
And that's what I think we can see here, is that even though we've now drove her away from us multiple times, she's still coming right back. Make sense?
Yes, totally does.
Okay, let's move our positions. Let's go somewhere else. Come with me. Because I feel like she's still testing it a little bit. Stop, own your space. Very good. But do you see how she thought about it when you were moving away from her? Mm-hmm. So one of the things I want to do is work with her online, where we can teach her that if you back up towards her, she'll also respect your back and step back away. And so basically it's the same exercise on the ground. And I have a fundamental series on my Patreon page that I would highly recommend you work through with her on the ground. And it's like all the basic groundwork that I think every horse, regardless of what discipline they're going to go into, needs to know. It's just basic understanding of pressure and confidence with things. So I'd highly recommend getting on there and working through that with her.
Okay.
And actually, I should also let everybody know that right now it's only $10 to get on there to do that, which I think is pretty reasonable. It's like, to me, it's this much value for this much cost. It's well worth it.
Right.
There's also a $20 tier where you can ask me questions on there and I'll answer them and send me videos for coaching, things like that. But in January 1st, it's going to go up to 20 and 40.
Oh.
And so anybody that's wanting to get in at the rate that we're at now, make sure you sign up before January 1st.
Okay. All right.
So while she's getting that, let me have you go drive her off that spot one more time. Okay. So walk in, straight line. So the key is straight line. So come back. I'm going to have you stop right here because you did not walk a straight line.
I did not. Sorry.
No, and it's when you're hesitant, you don't walk in a straight line. When you're being assertive, you go in a straight line.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Okay.
And so you had a feel of being hesitant right there. And I need you to be more sure of yourself.
Okay.
So I'm going to stay back here. I want you to walk a straight line towards the fence post. Waving the stick. But the secret is moving the stick and being willing to touch her if she doesn't get out of the way.
Right.
And going in a straight line, but your feet can go slowly. You don't have to go fast when you do this. And I don't want anybody to go fast when they do it.
Okay.
So walk towards her shoulder, straight line, moving the stick, touch her. Good. Yep. Yep. Just be out of the kick zone. Don't get any closer to her. Let the string out. Tap her with the string. Good. Tap her a little. Let me see you tap her a little firmer. Let me see you drive her off that spot from right there.
From right here?
Yep. Let the string out. Let the string out. So I don't want you to get closer because you could get kicked if you're closer.
Okay.
Don't get closer. Take a step back.
Okay.
But you got to mean it. Do an overhand swing like this and touch her on the butt. One more. You're purposely avoiding her.
Purposely avoiding her.
Oh, yeah? I can tell by how softly you're doing it that you are slightly avoiding it. Yeah.
A little harder. Oh,
Yeah.
there
There.
we go.
Now you're good. Now leave it alone. Good job.
Okay.
But it's a little bit hard for you, isn't it, to bring up your energy to put pressure?
A little
Yeah.
bit. I guess she's been our baby. If that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to talk about this while we're waiting for that leader up to get here, because I think a lot of people struggle with this. But horses will read through that. Like, you could have convinced me that you were going to mean it, but she was telling me you did not mean it. And the way the string was barely touching her and going off her butt, if I had put something there and said, "Can you hit that rock with that string?" you'd be like, "Yeah, I could aim and get that rock right away."
Right.
But when you're worried about scaring them or hurting your baby, that's when people get hesitant. But that thought process, that mentality is what's led to her getting dominant. And this is really important. No, go ahead and wave the stick and keep her out of this corner. Be out of the kick zone. So like right there, if I had been standing where you were, I would have taken a step back and then touched her with a string. Because she was close enough, you would have been on the end of her kicks if she had kicks. So you have to be out of the kick zone. That's why you have a 4-foot string, 4-foot stick with a 6-foot string.
Okay.
That's 10 feet that you can be away from her if you need to touch her. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. Makes sense. Yes.
Okay, so back to what I was saying. Okay. That mentality of you being worried about scaring your baby is also what's led to her being dominant.
Okay.
If this progressed and she had actually gotten to where she was attacking people and hurting them, do you know what the next step that happens to horses that start doing that?
Probably euthanized, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, they could get euthanized. They get sent to an auction, maybe on a kill truck headed to Mexico. Like, bad things happen from that point. And so the point that I would like to make for those of you watching is us fixing it now and tapping her lightly on the butt is nowhere near, like, there's a big difference between those two things. But once a horse starts attacking people, even if you were to sell her, you need to disclose that she has that behavior to somebody. And of course, most people are not going to want to have an aggressive horse, that sort of thing. But I'm just pointing this out because this is the road that horses can go down when bad behaviors start. And so this is why it's important for you to set some boundaries and have a clear picture. No different than with our dog, like teaching them not to bite people and stuff. Like, you could have a sweet dog, but if it bites the mailman, like, that dog could get taken, and it's not the dog or the horse's fault, is my point. Right. So I'm actually kind of putting this on you, that it's your job. Go ahead and hone your space there.
Come on.
Mean it.
Come on.
Let your string out. Make some noise there. And be out of that kick zone. You see what I mean by, because she hadn't done that yet, but that's what comes next. They first start biting with their mouth, and she would also consider rearing up and striking. But the next thing is turning around and kicking. Okay. But again, if you're one of your kids or you or somebody got kicked or bitten,
Right.
all of a sudden it starts looking like get rid of this horse and find some way. But how do you get rid of a horse that's doing that with people? And that's why this is so important to get this figured out. So I take this very seriously. So to me right now, it's a very minor problem, but down the road, if this continued, could become a very, very big problem.
Right.
Because she's going to be a big horse, and that's a lot of power coming our way if she decides to turn and kick or bite or something. So.
Yes.
So I'm going to halter her up, and then I'm going to do a few more groundwork exercises with her, some of which, like I was saying, are in that fundamental series. But I like this more now with her, where we can approach her versus her just overtaking us.
Right.
Because she's quite pushy.
Yeah.
She's cute as can be, but we got to get her safe to be around. Do you understand, agree with what I was saying there? Do you have any problems with anything that I was saying?
No, I have no problems at all. I completely get it.
All right, good. Just making sure. Because it's your horse, so I just want to make sure you're
Yep, no.
fully on board with this. So we're just going to go through a few yields out here. So it's basically the same idea when you're leading her, that if you stop, I'm just going to say to her, hey, this is my space. And now in this instance, I'm going to wave the stick until right there. She took a step back off of that. That's all I wanted, just that one little yield. So for a while, like quite a while, the only time that she should be in arm's length of you or your kids or anybody that's around her is if you walk into her space like this, or if you invite her into yours. But if you're just standing in here doing something and she comes into your space closer than your arm's length, that's a no-go. We're not going to do that, because she has to understand that she has to respect our space, that there's like this invisible boundary, and it's your personal space. It's no different than if I walk up to you and I got this close. That would be really awkward and rude behavior, right? Well, we kind of have to expect the same from our horses. And I follow this protocol, whether they're being dominant and aggressive or not, because if they spook or just happen to step wrong and they step on your feet, it's a broken foot, a broken toe. You know, they're big and heavy, and it's just, this idea is really important. I see a lot of people that have injured their face, their chin, their cheekbone when they're next to the horse, and the horse goes, "What's that over there?" And they whip their head and it hits the person's face. It's like, that's like stitches, hopefully not a broken bone, but sometimes broken bone. Because they're just a lot bigger and stronger and heavier than we are, and they're not even going to notice that happened, but you very much will. So we just got to keep an eye on this. So because she's dominant, when horses are dominant, I focus more on yielding their front end. So I'm just going to ask her to step her front end over here and just yield to pressure in that way. When a horse is very distracted or nervous, I would focus on yielding their hindquarters. That helps them to relax and settle down. But she's going to be a little tougher to get her to yield backwards. There we go. So we want those backup steps, and we want those forequarter yield steps. So 4/4 is the 2 front legs. So I try to get the nose to go first. So I'm just holding the stick up here like a block. Yeah, that's a good girl. And the good news is she's not very committed to this. She doesn't really want to be in charge. She was just, you guys kind of became her source of entertainment out here. You know, but I would recommend, if you were able to, is to get a second horse. Again, not that you asked me my opinion on this, but it would be helpful for her if there was another horse that she could bond with, right, you know, and give them some leadership, you know. But I think for our purposes today, I'll hand you the leader up here in a second, and I'll have you just practice. Just go for a walk somewhere. Stop. Step 1 is just owning your space. Okay. Just establishing this step right here. And then if you decide you're just going to lean into her a little bit and just create some energy with the rope, with the stick, and just ask her to yield backwards like that. Okay. Sound good? Okay. And then if she's being good and you want to, then you can practice just rubbing her with it and getting her used to it. But all the things that I'd recommend doing are on that fundamental series. on my Patreon page. All right, let me hand you the rope and have you give this a try.
You want the longer one, Mama?
No,
And stop. Wave it. Yep. Touch her just lightly. Yep.
Come on. Back. Come on.
There you go. Very good.
Come on.
Very nice, Liz.
Come on.
Super. Now pet her with it. Good job. Now let's walk over here. And stop. Ah. Did you see how she's stopping right with you when you stop? Okay, so go ahead and back up into her
Okay.
and wave your stick.
Come on. Back up. Back up. Back up.
Yep, and you gotta switch positions with the stick if she moves her nose to avoid it.
Okay, so now that do I keep doing it now?
Yep.
Okay, come on.
Yep,
back
she
up.
needs to yield backwards.
Come on. Back up. Back up.
Keep going. Get serious.
Come on. Back up. Come on. Back up.
Mean it.
Back up. Back up.
Touch her with it. Touch her with it on the neck or the shoulder.
Okay, come on.
Yeah.
Back up.
But mean it.
Come on.
So instead
back
of
up.
doing like little taps like that,
Okay.
you'd be better off like meaning it more,
Okay.
like that.
All right.
And so you can touch her on the chest or the neck or wherever. You can wave it like this. Like it's like whatever's going to be effective to have her mean it. But you see how I do it and it's effective right away?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
there's no fancy way I'm doing it. It's just I
just-
mean it,
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so go ahead and step into her again.
Okay.
Right from here.
Okay. And just.
Yep.
Come on, Grandma. Back up. Come on. Back up.
Did you just call her grandma?
Come on. Back up. Come on.
Or you said caramel?
Caramel.
Oh, caramel.
Come on. Back up. Oh, come on.
Mean it.
I'm
Wave the
trying.
stick.
Come on.
Wave it.
Come on.
Wave it.
Back up.
Wave your hands in the air like you just don't care.
She just doesn't like to listen to me.
It's true. She's testing you more than me because
I know.
she's learned, she believes me that I will get bigger and more effective.
I know.
So you have to convince her that you can get more effective with the stick.
No, with that
But
one.
what I'd rather you do is
Okay.
is draw a line through her nose and be like, if you don't move, it will touch you.
Okay.
These are your choices. There you go.
Okay, so
You know what I
just-
mean? So yeah, you
alright.
don't have to swing it that hard, but you have to be willing to touch her.
Oh, goodness. All right. You ready? Are you ready? Okay. Come on. Back up. Back up.
Mean it.
Back up. Back up. Come on. Come on.
Touch her. Yep, there you go.
Come on. Back up. Back up. Back up.
Good. Maybe you'll feel more comfortable holding it like a ski pole like this
Maybe.
and just touching kind of underneath her.
Oh, there we go.
Like
Let's
that?
Try that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now go ahead and go for a walk away from her and then you're going to swing it like that.
Okay.
Because you don't want to just back up. You want to kind of reset and come forward again.
Come on. Come on. I know. We've been
Put a
making-
stronger feel on it. Even with this, like you got to mean it just that little bit more. There you go.
I know.
So yeah, come on, go ahead and walk over here again. We're going to do it one more time. We're just looking for that lighter response where she's taking you as serious as she's taking me. Now stop. Face her.
Face her.
Wave the stick.
Come on. Back.
Mean it. Yes.
Back.
Yeah.
Back.
Good. And stop. Perfect. Was that better?
That was a lot better.
All right. Good job. Very nice.
I just
Okay.
wanna treat you like
Now,
my kid.
now let's test this idea again here. So I'm going to take the halter off of her. And we'll see if she tries to be dominant at all. I don't think she will. But we need to get it to where you feel safe in here. That's
Right.
really critical.
Right.
Do you feel that energy now where it's like you are totally fine and safe in here as long as you
I'm
keep
gonna
her out
be
of your
honest.
space with a stick?
Yeah. I feel like when we first brought her up here, she wasn't that way. I remember coming in
Yep.
and doing things, and she'd get close to me, but it wasn't an aggressive. It was
Yes.
more of a, hey, I'm going to stand by you, and we'd love up on her, give her all
Yeah.
kinds. You know what I mean? That's where
Yeah.
I want it to be
Yep.
again,
But you were using love, more love,
I guess. And
not leadership, where she
Right.
needed to also have some boundaries and respect pressure and stuff like that. So do you feel like now you can start incorporating some of that into your more regular routine?
oh, most definitely. Most
Awesome.
definitely I can do.
Now you see her yawning and see how relaxed. What's interesting to me is that even though we had to get pretty big with her to get her to yield, she is relaxing more now. Like, look how soft and chill she is.
I love it.
And she's not running away down to the other side of the pasture and afraid. So horses, what's interesting is horses will find comfort in a strong leader. They want to have a herd leader. So they almost like they pretend that they want to be the leader more than they really want to be the leader.
Okay.
Like she doesn't want to be in charge. She's mostly kind of playing with you guys. And but it's like, well, it's going to be dangerous. It's like you can play with us, but at a distance,
Right.
you know, and you can handle her and interact with her, but it's got to be under your terms where it's safe for you guys, because horseplay can get a little rough at times.
Yes.
And so more than I think she was trying to be in charge or be dominant, she was wanting to play with you guys, and you have to set some boundaries that are going to be safe for everybody involved in that.
Okay.
Does that sound like a plan?
Sounds like a very good plan. Thank you.
All right. You bet. My pleasure. So tell me, what's your biggest takeaway from this session?
To be honest, you taught me how to be the bigger person better. I think that was one of the biggest ones, I guess. It's a lot to process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
If I can think of something off the top of my head, yeah, that would be right now is how to be the bigger person better than what I was attempting to be.
Yeah, like you recognize that you needed to change a little bit more, something on the inside where you actually drive away, and you were.
Right.
And what's interesting to me is I don't think you seemed adverse to giving her boundaries
Right.
and giving her leadership or touching her. But you were really concerned about her either being afraid of you or not liking you guys anymore.
Yeah,
Is that fair?
That is very fair.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
But I think you guys now see that horses need that in their life. They need boundaries, and literally her life could depend on it.
Right.
You know, like she could be on it in a couple of years. This keeps, or even 6 months from now, she gets bigger, and this is going the wrong direction. And somebody gets hurt. It's all of a sudden, it's like now we start having that conversation about getting rid of her and figuring out what we're going to do from there. But who wants a horse that's learned to be dominant and aggressive and is kicking and biting? And does that make sense?
Totally.
So Ida, did you enjoy that session with her?
Yes, I did.
You'll be able to continue helping your mom with this?
Yes, I will.
Let her know if she's doing it wrong?
Uh-huh.
And then what do all the viewers need to go do now?
They need to like and subscribe.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much. We'll see you guys on the next one.